This program is brought to you by Tyvision Media, helping stokvels and burial societies reach their goals. Welcome to Ke Zaka Stokvel Insights, a platform where stokvel and burial society members learn more about the world of business, and business leaders get to understand stokvels and burial societies a whole lot more. If you would like us to answer some questions that your group has, please do send us a voice note using the number on the screen. And you can also contact us using the email info@tyvisionmedia.co.za. Please do engage with us on our social media platforms outlined below. Now, savings, asset ownership, these are some of the concepts that we're going to be exploring in today's episode. And I'm joined by my guest expert and co-host, Thabiso Masudubele from Tyvision Media. But before we get into the discussion, this week's question is from Family Trust Society based in the Freestate Province.
Dumelang ke a dumedisa ka lebitso ke mme Thabeleng Diboke mokgatlo wa rona ke Family Trust Society. Mokgatlo wa rona ke mokgatlo o re ntshang tjhelete kgwedi le kgwedi, ebe re a e share mafelong a selemo jwalo re ne re kopa Zaka re thuse hore na ebe re ka tswela pele jwang, mokgatlo wa rona o ka tswela pele jwang hore re iphumane re na le dintho tse leng tsa rona tse re tla di sebedisa bophelo bohle ba rona, esita le bana ba rona ba tla di sebedisa mohlomong ha rona re se re le siko. Ke a leboha.
In this show, we have learned that the challenges of financial exclusion in the past led to the growth of microfinance. In South Africa, stokvels are one of the most important microfinance phenomena, with around 800,000 active stokvel groups. The formal financial sector is targeting members through various stokvel accounts and products. Ntate Masudubele, you know, we have had a discussion with Anerieg van Jaarsveld, who is a lecturer at University of Johannesburg, and we were touching on how there's a lack of research and information when it comes to stokvels and just that market. Why is this the case?
I think there are a couple of ways to look at it, and thanks for having me, Nont. Firstly is that when you look at research just purely from a numbers point of view, there's quite a bit of work being done in terms of the number of stokvels, financial contributions, and so on. But I think the research hasn't gone as far as really unpacking who the individual members are and why people do the things that they do. So I think it's been research that's just based, it's been one-dimensional, if I can use that term, because it focuses on what the contributions are and how much money is banked and how much money is placed into insurance companies and so on. But definitely I don't think there's enough research that talks to the people, that connects the money to the people and getting a sense of what really drives the individuals who join these particular groups and what makes them, so tied to these groups that they can hand over their money on a regular, consistently to these communities of stokvels.
You know, financial experts may argue that, there's a lot of risks when it comes to stokvel, hence staying away from it. But there's risk in everything.
Yes.
So why aren't corporate financial sectors giving stokvels enough attention?
I think they are, but I don't think it's the right attention. I think they're giving them attention in terms of looking at the lucrative numbers and the opportunities that come with those lucrative numbers. So you spoke about a total of about 800,000 plus number of stokvels in South Africa. You look at what the contributions are. So people with corporates, you then look at these are lucrative numbers. If you can get a market share of that number, then we'd be good to go. But I think we don't do enough to get to understand what it is that people are really looking for. And once we dig into the individual, what drives the individual and what drives the group, a lot of things would change. So for instance, you wouldn't have financial service providers selling financial products at grave sites. And that's purely on, not understanding the nuances that are involved with groups. But if you're coming from, we're looking for numbers, we're looking for business, we can even go to the gravesite. I mean, you'd have people coming when people are grieving and people coming to the house and trying to sell. So there's a place and time for everything. And you'd only learn that if you dig deeper from a research point of view.
That makes a whole lot of sense. And when we're just zoning into today's case study, Family Trust Society, there is a bit of information lacking here in terms of how many people are in this group, just the demographics and how long the society has been here for. But when looking at the info that has been given, do you think that their current model works for them as a group?
No, I don't think it works. But again, this is based on the assumption that they're trying to grow. The whole thing is growing and owning assets and so on. So if you've got a model of growing and you're doing things that are contrary to the concept of growth, then that model doesn't work for you. So it's one of two things. Either you change your constitution and your objectives, or you change the way that you do things. But something has to give. So you can't, for instance, say, the reason I'm joining this group is so that I can pay school fees, my annual fees in January. And then come January, you're not getting enough money to pay, or you take that money and you're buying groceries. Then you have to change the objective of the stokvel, or you have to change how it works. You maybe have to say then the money is not paid to you as an individual member, it's rather you nominate an institution, tertiary or high school or wherever you need to pay the fees for it to be paid there, so that you're consistent with your initial objective. So in this case, if the objective is growth, I don't think that the model that they're using is one that talks to growth as a group.
I think a lot of us who have experience being in a stokvel, those short-term investments and savings so that you can have a wonderful vacation for December, as outlined here by Family Trust Society. You did touch on the downsides of this, but can you explore more on what the challenge would be here if you opt for this short-term investment?
100%. So what would happen if you say you're looking to grow, and then year on year what you're doing is growth is something that happens over a period of time. So that's one of the things that you have to consider, that growth is not something that would happen over, 1 month or 12 months for that matter. You have to then identify the time you're going to take and understand that it's something that has to happen over a period of time. And then growth, almost, if I can draw a parallel, it's almost like putting one brick on top of another brick if you're building a wall. So building the process of growth and building a wall, if you draw that parallel, is that you're putting one brick on top of another and you're seeing the progress. So if you use that metaphor and you say, here's a group that says they want to grow, but in actual fact what they're doing is that they're contributing this money every month, and then in December they're splitting the money. It's almost like saying you're building this wall every year from January to December. Come December, you break the wall down, because that's when you distribute whatever you have saved during the year. You then distribute it. It means you've broken the wall down. In January, you start again to build that same wall. And your objective when you started was to say, guys, we want to build a house. You're never going to build that house. You're not going to see growth, because every year you're starting from point A again. You're always moving back. And therefore, they have to look at whether the objective still remains growth, or look at the things that they are doing. If they say, no, we want to retain this objective of growth, then they have to go back and say, but if we say we want to grow, is this that we're doing, is that going to talk to our objective? And in this case, I don't think it talks to the objective, because you build and you build by way of saving your money and then you're spending it. So you're not going to see growth in that instance. So the downfall is that, if you're contributing money and you're spending it in December, the downfall is simply that you're just not going to see the growth that you're wanting.
And that definitely makes sense. I think after the break, we're going to need to touch on the implications of you now deciding that we are going to change our model, we're going to change our growth, our goals. How does that impact our monthly premiums? Please do stay with us. We will be back on Ke Zaka Stokvel Insights.
Are you a member of a stokvel or burial society?
We at Tyvision Media specialize in helping stokvels and burial societies. Contact us for professional stokvel and burial society administration, access to investments and funeral cover experts, and credible financial information. We will help your stokvel and burial society to achieve your goals and grow. Contact us today.